And what we're going to do today, it's on holistic self-care, which I know, just knowing some of you online, people have a great sense of what this might mean for them. And especially now when we're focused on being in this time, you know, where can we dedicate energy to taking care of ourselves? And what does holistic part mean? So let's start by grounding ourselves. And if you can find space, we're just going to stand up, and I'll adjust my video camera here a little bit so you can see my body, my face. And all we're going to do is tap into what we're looking at, and the image behind me might help you with the northwest, southeast, right? This 4 directions. The Native Americans use a medicine wheel that often refers to the 4 directions. And each direction represents something. So in today's grounding practice, we're going to connect to what those directions represent. And you know what those 4 components are the intellect, so the intellectual part of our existence, the emotional part of our existence, the spiritual part of our existence, and then our physical existence, our body, right? And a lot of times we say like mind body work, or you know, the spiritual stuff is not always integrated in there, but we talk about emotional intelligence. And this concept of the 4 directions and this grounding today is really looking at integrating all 4 components of our existence into a single grounding practice. And we do that through the breath. So if you stand just comfortably, head balanced, eyes soft, hands at your side, shoulders relaxed. And start paying attention to that breath as it comes in and as you exhale. And if you'd like to, you can put a hand on the belly and a hand on the chest and just really feel the breath as it comes in. Not only fill the belly, but also fill the chest, that whole core of us. And then we exhale and let it out. And so when we're in physical contact here, we're connected with that physical sense of our existence. And it can direct us and help us navigate the other 3 dimensions, the other 3 directions here. So as you're breathing in this next breath, just let your mind be with whatever thought arises. Perhaps at the top of the breath, just hold your breath for 3 or 4 seconds with that thought present in your mind. And then on the exhale, let that thought go and come back to the feeling in the stomach and the gut and the chest. And on the next inhale, let the emotion arise. Whatever emotion it is that you're feeling right now. And let that stay with you at the top of the breath for 3 or 4 seconds. And on the exhale, just let that emotion pass. And on the next inhale, just let your spiritual connection to the universe, to the earth, to each other, let it arise and sit with you. And on the exhale, let that pass through. Take 2 more breaths on your own just to reconnect with that entire existence of humanity that you are. All your dignity, your divinity. And when you feel ready, you can have a seat. So I'd love to just do a quick check-in here with everybody around kind of what they noticed in that grounding, connecting with the four directions. And if they noticed that they gravitated or clung to one of those more than another, or if perhaps you avoided really thinking about the emotional or the intellectual or the spiritual more than another, just what showed up for you. And we'll just hear from 2 or 3 people on that. Yeah, you can unmute yourself whenever you're ready. I think the beauty of grounding and being in these spaces is it takes time to just be with it and reflect on it. So we're not in a huge hurry. We only have 30 minutes, but it takes time for people to think.
I'll go.
Yeah.
I noticed that I'm not feeling grounded today, so my brain is kind of going in a lot of different directions. I don't know if it's Monday or life settling in or what it is, but that's kind of my own impression, which means I need to kind of do a little bit more of that today because I am feeling a little scatterbrained.
Yeah. Anybody else, raise your hand if you're feeling just like that. You can just either raise it virtually or raise it physically. Yeah. Did anybody gravitate toward the emotional state? Kind of spend some time there. Yeah, Shannon.
It was hard to sit with it because I didn't want to sit with it, but feeling tired. I feel like as I jump into my work week, it's going full speed ahead as the rest of the world is learning to slow. So just feeling tired, craving that time to just put the blankets over my head and hide out for a little while.
Yeah, and that brings up a great point, Shannon, on these four directions, is that they often overlap. A physical sensation can very, very likely tell you about an emotional state, can very likely inform what your intellectual or spiritual experience is. So the reason we always come back through the body, through the breath, is because that seems to be the common link to the other three. Thanks for bringing that up.
It's interesting because you brought up emotional, but for me, it was tired. It wasn't that physical. It was more, it's funny that I didn't really realize that was more of a physical description, but really it's like emotionally how I felt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Yeah. So when we look at the self-care and holistic self-care, we're really talking about being intentional with where you're putting your energy. So to Shannon's point, she could put a blanket over her head and just rest, and that would be awesome. And she would be caring for both emotional and physical. But if she didn't give intention to and spend energy saying, I am rejuvenating my body and my soul, and my spirit and my emotional state, then it doesn't have the same impact, right? We all have been that person that ran around all day getting stuff done and didn't a single time recognize the impact we were having on our body until at the end of the day we collapse on the couch and we go, well, why am I so tired? Oh, I just maybe I got the notice that I walked 5,000 steps, but really it's this paying attention to, I am taxing my body, I am taxing my emotional state, I am taxing my intellect or my spiritual state, and how do I feed those things and fill those respective buckets as we go. And just as a quick example, emotionally, you might fill your bucket by giving yourself a hug. We learned that one the other day from Sarah. Maybe it's calling a friend or giving yourself permission to just feel something, right? just sitting with that feeling. Physically, we might do it through sleep or exercise or solitude, like sensory deprivation, right? Where we actually look for quiet and dark. If you ever have migraines, that's like, get me out of the light, get me out of the noise. So we're taking care of ourselves physically there too. Intellectually, it might just be giving yourself the time and space to learn something new that you're interested in. Not just taxing your brain on the intellectual stuff that you have to do for work or that you have to do for other obligations, but really like, hey, what do I want to learn and how am I going to do it? I was joking with somebody earlier. I spent an hour and a half yesterday reading a 75-year-old instruction manual on a sewing machine to try and figure out how to sew a mask. And let's put it this way, Tia is sewing the masks, because I gave it my best shot, but after an hour and a half, yeah, I just burnt out of it. And spiritually, right? It could be just giving yourself some time to think about your food source, the food that you're eating. Where did this come from? What is that spiritual thing? It's connecting with the existence beyond ourselves. So identifying all the hands and lives and hearts and minds that went into putting the food on your plate, or the roof over your head, or bringing you here and into this, wherever you are, into that environment, and looking outside and connecting with this sense of place could have a spiritual impact on you. But really what we want to encourage is diving into the feeling, or what I look at is like looking through the different lens. So if you literally held a glass up in front of your face and you said, this lens is the emotional lens. How am I looking at the picture of the world right now through the emotional lens? Okay, how am I looking at it through the physical or through the spiritual or through the intellectual? And giving yourself space for that. So what I'd love to do is now pass it to you a little bit. Hopefully you have a piece of paper handy. I'm going to share a quick screen share, and it's going to list these 4 dimensions. So I'm just going to quickly show you and then talk over it. So if you see these, what I'd love for you to do is divide your paper in fourths. Piece of paper, or you can just create a list, whatever works for you. But somehow take about 2-3 minutes to just jot down what it is that you're doing for self-care in each of these realms. And maybe you'll see some overlap. That's okay, right? Maybe you'll see that you have 6 or 7 things in one category, but 1 in the other. That's okay. Just jot some ideas down. Take about 2 minutes to do that. And if you're watching this later as a recording, you can be doing the same thing. It's something that we recommend family members do. You can take this outside of this immediate practice. And if everybody can just I'm going to stop the share now so I can see everybody. Hopefully you have those 4: intellectual, spiritual, physical, emotional. If everybody could just give me a little hand sign when you're done, when you think you have your list done. Perfect. Awesome. Give another minute or so. Thanks for the thumbs up, Sue. I like it. Awesome. Another 30 seconds or so. Cool. What we're going to have you guys do is jump into a breakout room and share this with a couple other people where you can hopefully start to get a sense of what you're doing, what other people are doing, start to share those, and hopefully at the end we'll come back and kind of discuss takeaways. So you'll have about, let's see how many breakout rooms we're going to use. Awesome. All right, so we are going to recreate. So you're going to be thrown into the breakout rooms. You'll have about a minute each to talk. So about 5 minutes total, just to share yours. You can also share whatever else comes to mind around these 4 directions in that time. And then you'll get a 60-minute warning to come back into the room. Should be 60 second. 60-minute would be funny. 60-second warning, and then we'll come back and do a bit of a group share. So here we go.
Hey, Charlie.
Yep.
Folks, when you see the countdown on 60 seconds, you'll see a blue button that says return to main session. Don't hit that because you'll be pulled out of the breakout too soon. Just let it count down and you'll be brought back automatically.
Perfect. And there's about 5 people per room right now because I want you guys to hear a big assortment of ideas. So you're going to monitor your time to about a minute per person. Give you a little bit extra time. Thanks. Welcome back. Hopefully you had time to share. I'm curious now, really, if you consider all that you heard and all that you shared, I'd be curious what you'd want to add to your list. Really looking forward, the next 24 hours, the next week, what you're looking to add to that list that you may have heard somebody else say, or as you're thinking about it, it's coming to mind for you. And as a reflection in closing for today, I'd just love for everybody to be able to share that outwardly. And so kind of popcorn style, as you think of something you'd like to add to that list, if you can share it with all of us, that would be great. And you probably need to unmute yourself because I think it automatically mutes you when you come back in here. Yeah, you're welcome to type it or speak it. Personally, we've been reading a lot and I love seeing your faces and hearing your voices. So the more you can speak it, the better.
Well, Jackie brought up this as like a part of her path. And I felt like this meeting really feeds into a lot of different of those buckets. And so that was an ad for me.
So this being
Move Mountains, us getting together in this.
Okay. And what do you think that you think it fits a lot of the buckets? Which one are you craving that it fits or fills more for you? Is there one that you feel like needs to be filled more than others?
Probably intellectual and spiritual.
Cool. Thanks, Shannon. Others? Suggestions for what you're going to add to your repertoire? We see Susan wrote going deep into meditation. Renee wants to read a book for fun. Jackie's saying
Sarah didn't get a chance to share. So maybe you want to maybe list a couple.
Oh, who did not? Sorry.
Sarah and
It's okay,
myself.
I don't need to share.
Okay.
I'll just
Sarah,
say
go
one
for it.
thing.
Yeah.
I'll just
No,
say,
please.
like, I noticed in this that my emotional bucket is probably the least fulfilled. So adding like journaling, I've been trying to do 10-minute meditation every morning, whether that's like in my house or on my walk. And so maybe adding, 5 to 10 minutes of just journaling to that, because that's missing a little bit of the list.
I'm stealing that idea. Thank you.
Yeah, same. Family journal.
Yeah, snowshoeing, guitar, taking Zoom, tech breaks. I like it. Sai, thanks for adding those. You know, the other one is people are saying, somebody who said family journal.
I did, but I just, as a family, we can all family journal. Idea can be everybody's.
I like it. I like it. I will say that one of the things that we've started in our house is actually a journal that, like, if you have something to say to somebody else in the house, but we're all close to each other all the time, you can write them a note, and then we'll pass like notes that way. So it kind of takes the pressure off the face-to-face. But I just want to say, you know, as we wrap this up, there's no shortage of ideas out there, and really reaching out to your friends beyond this call and saying, hey, what do you guys do for this? Maybe there's something I can integrate into my own life. But recognizing that when we're buried in the same bucket there and we're constantly draining the same bucket, we need to look at that whole view of filling our hearts and minds and souls and bodies as we move forward. So thank you for joining us again. Tomorrow we'll be back. Sai, you want to give the little preview?
Absolutely. Join tomorrow and help us spread the word. Tomorrow we're looking at the concept of kindness, both to ourselves and others. Wednesday session is titled Curiosity, Creating Possibility, as we sort of dive into the nature of curiosity. And yeah, just delighted that you can join today, and hopefully join whenever you can, as much as you want, and please help us spread the word.
Yeah. Tomorrow we have Think Kindness founder Brian Williams on with us. He'll be giving a bunch of pointers for how you can perform little acts of kindness, even remotely. So
I
look forward to
I
having
say
that.
I got something in the mail yesterday from one of my girlfriends, and it was like a face mask, one of those like sheet masks, and it was just like, make sure to take care of yourself during this time. And I thought, oh my God, this is the nicest thing that someone like went out, got this big book of stamps, just like extra to send out to people. And so if you're looking for something nice to do for someone, you can send them a note, because it went a long way.
Awesome. We look forward to seeing you, as many as you as possible, tomorrow. Take care of yourselves in the meantime.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great day.